Teeside Airport is set to undergo major redevelopment and expansion in the next few years. At a packed public meeting in Middleton St George, Tees Valley Mayor Ben Houchen explained recent events at the airport and revealed exciting plans for the future.
I'm just going to give you the journey from where we started out on the airport and how we got to where we are today. And it's important, I think, that everybody has full transparency of everything that's going on and what the plans are. I've been involved with the airport for many years. James Wharton, who was the MP for Stockton South until 2017, I worked very closely with and was the only MP that I knew of in the 7 years that he was an MP that was very outspoken about Peel as owners of the airport. We did a lot of work with James to see what we could do to try and get Peel to get their act together. So when I had the opportunity to stand, it was also an opportunity to say to people, well, this is what Mayor does. And the pledge on the airport was a very clear thing to say, well, I have the powers to be able to buy an airport if a deal can be done. We've got the money to be able to do it as well. And we've got the organisation that can put in a plan that means that we've got hopefully a chance to make the airport a success. The very first meeting I had after I was elected, the election was on the Thursday evening. The count was on the Friday, and I was declared the winner about 2-3 o'clock on the Friday afternoon. And the very first meeting that I had on the 9 o'clock on Monday morning was with a gentleman who was the chairman of Durham Tees Valley Airport Limited. And their opening stance was, well, you've made this pledge, and it's a very bold pledge, and we want to help you out on this pledge, but it's going to be quite difficult for us to be able to sell you an airport. And to be honest, for a long time, I would say certainly for the first 12 months, probably just over 12 months, Peel thought they had me and some others over a barrel in that they knew that they had something that we wanted. They would say, well, we'll give you 25% of the airport, but in return, you have to pay us quite a lot of money, and then you're also going to have to pay for all the redevelopment of the airport, and when it starts to make money, we'll take all the profits, thank you very much. But you'll get the economic benefit, which is the important thing for you, there in the Tees Valley, which obviously wasn't going to work. And I had to politely, certainly in the beginning, politely explain to Robert that there is no way in God's earth that I would ever be able to seek re-election if I do a deal with you. And unfortunately, Peel, as part of this deal, have to disappear completely. So there is no way in which a joint venture with Peel is ever going to work. John Whittaker is the owner of Peel. He owns Peel Group. He set it up in the beginning. And I sat down with John in his ivory tower at the Trafford Centre in Manchester. I was acutely aware that we needed to bring this to a head because many people like yourself have emailed me, they'd catch me in the street and say, are you making any progress? How are you getting on with buying the airport? And I sat down with John. And to basically bring this to a head one way or the other, I sat down with him and I said, look, I've got 2 offers to make you. I said, if this doesn't work, we're going to have to shake hands and we're going to have to put this to bed. But the only 2 offers that I can make are this. The first offer was the offer that was ultimately accepted. That was an offer to pay £40 million to buy the airport, not just buy the airport, but buy what is the whole 819-acre site, so everything on the north side, everything on the south side. So everything that Peel had, ownership-wise, basically in Teesside, which basically was around the airport. And that was a cash payment for them to just go, and that had to include, and we were very clear in the meeting, that had to include the planning application area for 350 houses. 350 houses directly outside the door of the terminal on that site would have just destroyed the integrity of the site. So that was quite a straightforward offer. It was a cash payment, it was get out of the appeal, you're not really wanted, move on, and you sail off into the sunset and everybody's happy. And on the 27th of November I got a phone call from Peel. This is how recent it was. I got a phone call from Peel. We want to accept the straight sale and we want to do this as quickly as possible. And my proviso was, well, it has to include the housing site. And why I keep coming back to the housing site is that Peel said, well, that means ultimately you have to do the deal in January. So if you can get this deal through in January, you have our word and you have it that we will not complete with Miller and will allow you to acquire the whole site, which is why the deal was ultimately 40 million, because it was 35 million for the airport, and in effect, because of what Darlington Council did back in 2016, we had to pay a £5 million premium for what was, in effect, a housing site on the airport. So after the 27th of November, things went into overdrive. We started immediately on the legals to acquire the airport. We had to do that ahead of even knowing whether the local councils would agree to the deal, because if we waited until the meeting on the 24th of January and then started the legals, we would never have met the timescales that were required to be able to complete this deal. Now, I'm the mayor of the Tees Valley. There's a lot of things that I can do to help local people, but on big decisions like buying airports, the way that the constitution of the combined authority works is that I would have needed permission from all of the 5 local authority leaders who sit in effect on my cabinet, a little bit similar to a local authority but a bit more simplistic. They would have to have agreed to this airport deal. And so the big unknown was whether 5, let's be honest, because this is the political reality, 5 Labour local authority leaders were going to back the Conservative mayor on the pledge. But let's be honest, it's the only reason I'm sitting in front of you today. I know that I would not have been elected had I not made the pledge that I made. So there was this very interesting political dynamic about would they do it, because clearly, and let's say in all honesty, it was the right thing to do, irrespective of your politics. I'm a Conservative. I'm a free market Conservative generally, but I'm talking about nationalisation and public ownership of an airport. I think publicly we knew it was the right thing to do, but we all know, and again, not wanting to talk about it, but we all know the mess that's happened with Brexit. Politics can get in the way of things that just need to be done.
The airport buyout would not have happened if it wasn't for massive local support and local leaders getting behind the plans.
People congratulate me on buying the airport, but I can honestly say the only reason I'm able to stand here and say that we bought our airport and I've been able to deliver on the pledge that I made is because of, I'm sure, many people in this room and the 23,000 people across the Tees Valley who wrote to their local authority leader telling them that this was the right thing to do and this is something that they should be doing. Over a 6-week period from the deal that we did with Peel to that meeting on the 24th of January, Stephen Harker received 11,000 emails in 6 weeks from residents of Darlington only telling him you should back this deal to buy this airport because this is what people of Darlington want. Bob Cook, the leader of Stockton, received 12,000 emails from the residents of Stockton. Sue Jeffrey in Redcar received 7,000 emails. David Budd, surprisingly, actually received a lot of emails. He received 8,500 emails. The one that received the least amount of emails was Hartlepool, who received about 4,500 emails in Hartlepool. Again, those were emails just from their own residents. They weren't from people in Redcar emailing Stephen Harker. They weren't people in Darlington emailing Sue Jeffrey in Redcar. They were local people saying, I'm a resident of Darlington. You are the leader of our council. There is a local election coming up, and you need to make sure you do the right thing by local residents. That is the only reason, let me tell you, that is the only reason the local councillors knew they had to sign off that deal. So I just want to say thank you to anybody in that room that signed the email, and anybody that you know who isn't here that signed that email and sent it to the local council leaders. Thank you, because we would not be stood here today.